We run a news site and wanted to know if clickbait headlines or content is considered black hat SEO.
All right. So on news site, there's a couple of things. We have Marianne on my staff discovered that there's all sorts of things that influence traffic to news sites. And I think it's really, really a great discovery, and it is going to influence how news sites work. There's a conference in New York called NESS, N-E-S-S. We sponsor that conference. It's a news site conference. I pay attention to news sites all the time. We have clients that are news sites. I don't think that, no, that's the easiest answer. News sites, by the way, news sites are not performing as well as they used to. I think that that Google is leaning towards organic results over news site results. So that's a different kind of a situation. The headlines, and whether you're keyword stuffing or going for sensationalism or things like that, I don't know that Google cares quite as much about that as perhaps the fact that RankBrain is considering whether or not that is a hot topic or not a hot topic, or things like that. But I do not think that what I interpreted the question to be is sensationalism. I don't interpret that to have a particular impact. Now, having said that, many years ago, and this is, I keep remembering this as a classic example, there was a tsunami that hit Asia, and it was in all the news. And the New York Times wrote about it, and the title they put on it was Killer Wave. Killer Wave. Now, in fact, for those of us that are here, we think of it, yeah, that was a killer wave. Yep, I got it. But nobody on the planet searched for killer wave, and the article got virtually no traffic. They got more traffic from tsunami spelled incorrectly than killer wave. So, you know, if the concept of sensationalism does not include the keywords, you're a loser. It doesn't matter how sensational the headline is. You're a loser if it doesn't contain keywords. So you got to be smart about it. You got to use the keywords, and people will search for keywords. Now, they may have questions. You see more people on a mobile device ask a question than just do a keyword. I know that's my behavior. And so sometimes your headline would be better off being a question than being sensational. But I think that you can do quite a bit with it. I would try to make it more clickbait, but I would definitely err on the side of using keywords that people would query than just a sensational title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, news sites are interesting because they are constantly refreshing their content like on a daily basis, just new stuff coming out all the time. So it's interesting how those news sites compete, because there's so many news sites out there, and how do you compete against those is tricky, because it's all about getting there first. And you know, we can talk all day about the ethics of the news stuff, but it's just interesting to see, like, on the SEO perspective, like your answer there. When I got that question, I was like, I'm actually curious to know more about this one.
Well, let me comment. Query deserves freshness is often the case in news. Mm-hmm. Right? People want the freshest news. So query deserves freshness is going to be at play. Mm-hmm. So that's a sequencing in the news results. It's an issue there. Sometimes, if it is very high interest, the news entry breaks into the first page. Mm-hmm. So you will see a section on the first page of Google results that is news. Mm-hmm. But in general, what I think Google is interested in is, for most topics at least, Google is trying to figure out, is it newsy? Does it deserve freshness? Is this time sensitive? Is it something that is a category of news? Or is this just a page? Is it an article that would be appropriate? And that is fundamentally your question. And there's argumentative proof that Google prefers articles. So we may find that news is fading and articles are winning, and how many entries there are, or how the results are formatted, or news may not show up as much. Whereas in a different topic, news may dominate the entire Google search result. It really depends on what the topic is and how sensational it is and how people react to it. Mm-hmm. So I think that the tipping point is very, very small, that something legitimately newsy will get news results, almost lots of news results, and things that are probably informative but not newsy will get organic results. And you may find that traffic for a news site may diminish for certain keywords. Mm-hmm. I think that the sites, if you're news, you have to ask the question of whether that article that you just wrote, is that really time sensitive? And if it is not at all time sensitive, and if it is not an announcement of a newsy event, then are you really a news site? Mm-hmm. Is that really a news article, or is that just web content?
Right.
Should it be in a blog? If I write a blog post that says, I think a recession is coming, and by the way, I've written that blog post. It'll be out soon. And I'm even going to do a presentation on it. But I will tell you, if that is what I'm writing, that doesn't necessarily make it newsy. So that's a good example of things that you might say are in the news, but my article isn't going to be newsy. It's going to be an article. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an opinion. It's going to be how I think we can cope with this coming recession, which, by the way, you should all read. But, that isn't news. News is what's the score in the World Cup? I think you guys can remember every time there was a World Cup, every time somebody scored, Twitter would crash. Because everybody in the entire stadium tweeted, hey, they scored. And it, query deserves freshness. And so that's the hard part. You have to figure out whether it's really news. Then from there, you can behave differently.
If you want to ask Bruce Clay your SEO question, head on over to seotraining.com/pages/webinar and register to join our next live webinar with the Father of SEO himself. It's completely free and allows you to get the SEO insights you need for your website. So sign up today so you don't miss out.